Well, welcome. Thank you for coming here tonight. It's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of Planet Youth Lanark County and the Carleton Place Municipal Drug Strategy Committee. My name is David Sompe. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'd like to acknowledge the presence and the honor that we've had to have had a meeting before this meeting with the Ambassador of Iceland to Canada and the General Counsel from Iceland who's based in Winnipeg, and members of the staff from the embassy. It's great to have a discussion with you, and I very much appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us. We have a fairly full agenda tonight. We'll try to get going in it. So we're going to start off with just a little bit of housekeeping. We're very pleased to have the Ambassador from Iceland to make some remarks here. We also will have some remarks from our new Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Lena Lee. Then we're going to go through some of the preliminary results or early results of sharing with the community from the Planet Youth surveys that were conducted in February. So Kevin Cloutier is going to give us his perspective from a mental health point of view, and Andrew Lynch is going to give us the educator's perspective on that. We'll have a bit of a chat from Rebecca Shams from the Health Unit talking to us about youth engagement that we're undertaking as part of our Planet Youth work. And then Dr. Tanya Halsall, who is a postdoc fellow at the Royals Institute for Mental Health Research, who has been doing some great work with us, is going to tell us a little bit about what other communities across the globe are doing in response to their Planet Youth surveys. And then we're going to have a brief update from Brian Turner on the Carleton Place Municipal Drug Strategy Committee. Reverend David Sherwin will give us a brief update from Planet Youth Lanark County, and then we'll have Q&A. So for folks on Zoom, if you're having any problems, please use the chat to reach out to us. And during the Q&A, we invite folks on Zoom to submit questions on the chat, and we'll do our best to follow up on them. And at any time, if you want more information on Planet Youth Lanark County, or you want to talk to us, please feel free to do that. There's a link on our website, planetyouthlanark.ca, that you can use for that. So I want to take a few minutes and just talk about what Planet Youth is. And it's really built on the idea that the best thing you can do for a young person is to surround them with a supportive community. And there's a lot of wisdom in this. I think we've all heard the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And there's a lot of science behind it as well. And the science tells us that you can measure how well your community is supporting young people in 4 domains, and they're shown on this slide here. What's going on in the young person's family, what's going on in the young person's peer group, what happens at school, and what they do in their leisure time. So we're going to be hearing a little bit more about what's going on in Lanark County from that perspective as we go through the evening. About 2 years ago, in January of 2020, we were in this room and we were proud to announce that we were the first community in Canada to embrace the Planet Youth methodology. And if you look at that slide, you see I think I'm wearing the same jacket. That was the last time I wore this jacket, actually. I had a little bit more hair on the top of my head and a little bit less on the back, but lots of other things have happened since then. We were planning on administering our first surveys in March of 2020, but as you know, something else happened in March of 2020, and the pandemic basically caused a halt for what we were working on. Our first surveys were implemented in schools across Lanark County with the strong collaboration from the Upper Canada District School Board and the Catholic District School Board of Eastern Ontario. So grade 10 students across Lanark County answered the surveys, and we're going to be hearing about the results from those as we go through the evening here. This slide really says a lot about why we're talking about this particular methodology. In the late 90s, Iceland was reporting the highest rates of substance use by teenagers in all of Europe. And if you look at that slide, 15 years later, they were reporting the best. One of the stats there is reporting drunk in the last 30 days. And I think the number on that slide is 42% were reporting that in 1998. And 15 years later, it was down around 6%. They've been able to maintain this low level of substance use by youth And there's lots of benefits that have happened as a result of that. It's a remarkable accomplishment, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that today. But before we start on that, I am pleased to be able to ask to come to the podium the ambassador to Canada from Iceland, who was, I believe, a university student when this work was starting in Iceland, and so he has some can tell us a little bit about what was happening before and after this work started. Ambassador.